about. We talked about Metaverse, and we talked about Matthew Ball. He wrote his new book, and we further examined the Metaverse. We also looked at On Cyber, the incredible platform that Punk6529 has built his open metaverse, his OM on. Amazing guy, Ryan, has built this small team, amazing project. And then we had on Eric Pullier from Vatum, something that came out of the blue, who are more far advanced than anybody else, really. And that was amazing what they've done. So the metaverses are moving forward. So we've got NFTs moving forwards, different people coming in. We spoke to Jared Dicker, again, more about culture, NFTs, ticketing, music. We've seen all of that cultural phenomena coming. We're seeing the layer ones, the layer twos, the developments of that. We're seeing the institutions, the hedge funds, the adoption of that.
Hello and welcome to Crypto IQ. In today's video, Vision CEO Raoul Pal gives his thoughts on the metaverse and discusses how he got his start in the crypto space.
We're seeing regulation and the changes to that. This is the picture I put together in this shitty year of 2022 where prices did nothing but go down. But it's part of the space. The global monetary and liquidity cycle is why macro matters, why macro and crypto are the same thing. But underlying it is this technology that is changing the world. And it's always at this point that people say, well, how the hell is it changing the world? There's nothing going on here except scams, shitcoins, and all of that. Ignore it all. Put your fingers in your ear and focus on the bigger picture. Because the bigger picture is truly exciting to me. I think the other thing is I'm really interested how people solve UX, because UX is still terrible. I still have to call up Sergio Silva and say, how do I stake my ape? What the hell does this do? How does it work? How do I connect to this and that? And how do I get my punk into my out of why can't I buy it on OpenSea? Well, you can't. You have to go to their website. So why does it want to go to a random wallet? Oh, it works that way because it's a different type of contract and it goes through the centralized wallet and then goes into your wallet. Okay. Now, why can't I see it in my ledger? Well, because it can't show in a ledger because it's a different type of contract. I mean, Christ, it's difficult. So we will see UX. I'm really interested to see how Ledger do in the space because I know Ian's working on a lot of stuff there. I'd love to see how Consensus are doing with MetaMask, where the next iteration, where the Phantom Wallet goes, and also Temple. Let's see where the Tezos ecosystem goes. A lot of people are saying, hey, listen, you've got to watch both the Solana NFT system and the Tezos ecosystem because they're really interesting. So I think that's also worth watching. So I feel, I know it's weird, but I kind of get really excited when you've had the flush out, you've taken the pain, you've got the down cycle out of the way, because then you can get optimistic about the future. Now, I didn't sell any of my assets. I didn't switch them to stable coins. I learned the lesson from the last time around. So let me explain that lesson for those of you who don't know. Sip of wine first. As you know, I was in pretty early, 2013. I wrote the first ever macroeconomic strategy paper valuing Bitcoin back then too, and bought it at $200. And I put a decent sized position in. I'm like, this is the best risk reward I've ever seen in my life. I said, I think fair value is $1 million. And let's say Raoul's a total idiot by 90%. So therefore fair value is 100 grand. At $200, best risk reward I've ever seen in my entire career. So I bought it. Amazing. I rode it up. I had a long-term time horizon, 5 to 10 years. I rode it up. It went up. It went up 5x to 1,000. I was like, I really am a god. Look at me. I'm just the best investor in the world. Then it falls 85%. I'm like, oh, well, remember the long-term picture. And that's not flipping around from being a trade to being long-term. It was long-term when I defined it and long-term as it is now. So it comes all the way back down. I kind of get a bit bored. 2014. Then 2015, it starts basing and going up again. 2016, it's going up a lot. 2017 explodes. We get the forking wars, all sorts of complications. I'd already gone through, seeing bloody everything from Mt. Gox to Bitfinex to all sorts of stuff. So I'd gone through the wars, now the forking wars, the ICO boom, all sorts of shit going on. I'm like, I don't know, I don't understand this. I'm going to take profits, 10x. And that was stupid because I actually traded against what I set the trade up to be, which was a long-term trade. Anyway, I've made 10x. Great. It went up another 10x after that. And I remember writing on Twitter, I got so much hate for selling out. And I'm like, listen, I don't mind if it goes up another 10x. I've made a lot of money in the trade. Everybody hated me. Then it collapsed. Then it collapsed down 85%, down the backside again. The monetary tightening going into 2018, much like 2022, a terrible year for assets. Everything goes down. And then eventually Bitcoin bases in November, December at the bottom of the liquidity cycle when the Fed stop easing and it starts clawing higher. I'm not looking at it. Dan Tapiero taps me on the shoulder in 2019, said you've got to focus on this. And I start to refocus and I'm watching the chart pattern and eventually pull the trigger in March, April, May, June 2020 at great levels. And off we went to the races. So I traded brilliantly. I bought it at 200. I sold it at 2,000 or 2,500, whatever it was. I bought it back at the end of a bear market, but I bought it back averaging about, 7,500, 8,000. I started at about 6,000. And then I rode it all the way back up and all the way down here. So I think I've done pretty well. And I switched to ETH right at the right point, made a lot of extra returns, huge amounts of extra returns. So I thought, Raoul, you've done a great job. And I thought, I wonder what I'd done if I just kept my initial bet in and done nothing else, never traded again. The answer, I would have done 5 times better. That was a shock to me. 5 times better. And I put massively more in June 2020 than I had in 2013. So I'm like, okay. That's what really hammered home the final lesson about long-term trends. And then I thought, well, I also know this network adoption model, and I know this logarithmic trend, and I know this monetary tightening cycle. What happens if I just added the same position every time it got here to this point in the cycle? I'd have done 25 times better. So this is why I don't trade it. So all I've been doing is letting it come down. And as soon as we've got here, I started really adding in June. And I've been adding ever since. Now, it's a recession. Nobody's got a lot of cash, and nor do I. But I'm doing what I can because, every time you get here, the upside is 10, 20, 30x, depending on what you're buying and where you are. And obviously, you'll get 1,000x and whatever it is, random thing. I can't pick those things ever. You're lucky if you get them. But the point being is the overall space usually does 20x, something like that. Well, 20x of a small bet, still one hell of a bet and better than you'll get in any other financial instrument.
Does Raoul's take here make you more bullish on the metaverse? Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.